So, welcome everyone to another episode of Future of Leader podcast. This is week 23. That means an odd week. That means a newsletter week. So, we are in front of you again talking about what Tao has in store for us. So, this is going to be fun 50 minutes discussing what Tao has in store for us. For everyone who is joining new, who has no clue what's going on, so we have an AI called Tao. Tao helps. So if you're joining new, so Tao is an AI that we are using to send our community newsletter. It has pretty much many things that you need to stay ahead in big data science game. And Tao is learning. Tao is learning which articles you are clicking. Tao is learning what articles you are not clicking. And hopefully we'll get some insights and we'll be able to custom curate Tao. And we are sending it across all of our cities and chapter where Analytics Club exists. And for this video podcast or for this podcast, we are just covering the web version of Tao. The link is on the description, and if you want to check it out. So again, thank you so much for joining us. Today we have with us Maria, our awesome Maria. Maria, how are things?
Good. Things are really good. How are things with you, Vishal?
It's good. I think I'm bored of looking at my fake tree, right? So, but it's awesome to see sunlight, a beautiful day. I think it's rainy as hell here. It's chilly.
Oh, you guys got the rain.
Yours is like,
Yeah, we
it's
just
beautiful.
had it a couple days ago, but when the sun is out, we got to enjoy it, right?
Yes. I think that's beautiful. So let's. How are things in Raleigh? For people who don't know, Maria is our community head, and she leads our Raleigh chapter as well. So Maria, how are things in Raleigh?
Yeah, things are really moving in Raleigh. There's a lot of projects and a lot of different issues that are being looked into. So it's getting a lot of buzz, even though the summer is coming and we have lots of students here. And so things kind of quiet down because of the universities and so forth. But I think that there's a lot of activity going on. And so we have the students involved in a lot of projects for the summer already.
Nice. Awesome. I think, and good to connect. And let's get to the newsletter. So let's discuss the cover of the week.
Yeah, we start off with something really funny, huh? With this
I know. It's exciting.
statistics anomaly cartoon.
What do you think? So it has for our audience, it has a bar chart with statistical anomaly, and one of the routine metric is telling this anomaly, sorry, we just can't trust you. So this is, I think, one of the I know we all in data science have seen this, and pretty much it sometimes feel like it's me yelling at that anomaly. So that's exciting. So your thoughts, Maria?
Yeah, it's it has a an outliner there that just gives a big heads up for the rest of the data in the chart, and so it becomes something to get curious about, right?
Right.
And we don't want to.
And I think so.
We don't want to ignore that.
I recall one conversation a while back. So one of the executive from Boston, wonderful guy. So he suggested, Vishal, you know what? So he was talking to me about astrophysicist. He said, "Hey, data science. If you want to get data scientist, astrophysicists are the best folks available, because they have to look for this tiny bleeps, and for them this anomaly means everything, right? So their rest of their journey is pretty boring. Like they're looking for this, we don't trust you data movement." So it's fascinating, by the way. So and it just recalled me that conversation that how it I think it's very contextual. So where you're looking at this, some anomaly pretty much like I remember in one of my professional experience, whenever we see anomaly, I think it just goes two ways. Just ignore it 90% of the time, but for 10%, it's just digging hell because we have no clue. We
Mhm.
have to capture what the hell is going on, look at from all the
Mhm.
verticals from the system point of view. If we can get some other data's perspective on what could be causing this, it's not a fun scenario.
Yeah, but it gets to more accuracy, and the that's what everybody needs to be reliable, right? So,
Yes, yes, absolutely. So that's true. So now, local events and sessions. So now, what do you think about the event suggestions that Tao gives for our web audience to check out?
yeah, for those that are interested in what is most trending with big data and with data analytics and data science, machine learning is up there at the top, and so there's a lot more tutorials and webinars and um, introductory lessons and talks and just things surrounding machine learning. So we have some great picks here on
Yeah.
events that have also to do with machine learning.
Yeah, I think yes. And to our audience, so I think so Tao picked three events for us. So one is H2O Auto Machine Learning, Automatic Machine Learning webinar. The other is how to learn data science and case study with car model prediction, and Web Pipeline IO and Deploy AI monthly community sync. So I think on the first suggestion H2O, kudos to guys at H2O. I think they are doing a fabulous job in creating. I think I have heard good things about people who have used H2O for their, and I think you guys should check it out. Open source, um, you can create multi-layer sort of um perceptronics, and you can sort of, there's a deep net that you can use. It's, I think it's beautiful. So if you want to get yourself into machine learning and you have some familiarity of either Hadoop file system, or you have some familiarity on AWS. I think they have pretty much adapters to God knows who and God knows where. So it's beautiful. Like you can quickly just get yourself into this neural net of deep learning and just get going. I think so. Kudos to H2O folks, doing a great job. And by the way, this webinar is it's for everyone. So you don't need to have a you need to have somewhat background why you are in machine learning. So you need to have some sort of prior knowledge, but it's it's free, but wouldn't complain, right? So must check it out. It gets you sort of
Yeah,
at least started on what's going on. And I think
absolutely.
and the second one, how to learn data science and case study for car model. I think this we are actually seeing a lot. So a lot of times we are seeing either movie recommendation engine or car predictive analytics. These are, I think, one of the very hallmark now use cases for understanding data science. So if you want to understand why am I in data science, I think these are one of beautiful hallmark use cases. So this webinar on learn data science and case study with car model prediction, I think again a beautiful checkout. And I have attended couple of something similars, very structured. Now people are getting really smart at getting you most of the insights in just one session. So
Hmm.
I'm hoping this would be no different as well.
Hmm.
And by the way, we have not particularly checked this part like this webinar before, so I don't know the specific of this particular one, but I know that the types that this kind of webinars represent. So I think it's a must check out. So you can get into the data science pretty quickly, and you would have done some fun analytics. So it's a very fulfilling webinar if you have not traveled on data science journey. So what do you think, Maria?
Yeah, that's something that was definitely one of the ones that I have picked out for. I just kind of like have them in the background so I can also get immersed into the different ways that everyone's looking at it, and so
Right.
I have them in the background, and um, they're just things that really help to understand the context better of when to use what and so forth. So they're very helpful.
Right.
Even if you're just getting bits and pieces, you might not have to listen to the whole thing in order to get those gems. But look, giving it a quick look is a good idea if you're interested
I
in
agree. I
that.
think yes. So the third one is web pipeline IO deploy AI monthly community sync. So I think I have briefly checked one of the previous monthly community sync. I think it's so for audience, what is pipeline IO? So it's I think it's an end to end uh, system that connects Spark machine learning and TensorFlow and GPU. So basically, if you're looking at image analytics or sort of figuring out smiles from picture or whatever, right? So this is the go to sort of platform to attend. And again, beautiful. So every I think they discuss a piece of code, they discuss sort of some system, they discuss some progress in either pipeline or their interface with either TensorFlow or Spark or some GPU. So tons of recommendation. If you so even if you're not starting in that journey, and if you somehow think in that direction, sure, you can have some extra coffee and just jump on this session and survive through it, because I think I'm hoping after a couple of ones attending these, we would have lot more visibility on what's going on in the machine learning space, what's going on in this sort of Hadoop, Spark, and sort of this infrastructure and sort of all that. So again, uh, kudos to Pipeline guys for this conversation. It's really pulling a lot of interesting folks into this discussion and helping people understand. So I think one of the things I'm amazed that I think it's because of, as you're pointing out, Maria, as well, that since it's trending, so Tao is picking machine learning, predictive AI, and all that stuff. I think that's fascinating to see that even we feel from this stuff, because this the local event and at least the news that Tao picks, these are fresh brewing right now outside. So pretty much
Mm-hmm.
it represents the market sentiment for us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
interesting. So now let's get to the next part, Analytics Week Bites. So these are the bites from our own blogging platform. So these are the
Mm-hmm.
blogs that people have blogged on our platform. If you are interested, uh, there is a link that you can click to start blogging on our platform. We are always looking for interesting conversational openers, interesting thought leaders to jump in. So let's discuss the three picks. Maria, thoughts?
Yeah. So we have for three picks the an article by Bob Hayes, who we love to shout out to Bob Hayes. These are
Yes.
great articles that he has for us, and linking constituency with the VOC metrics, and that's a lot of customer-based analytics. And then we have an analytics week pick where who I'm not sure who wrote this one.
I think it predates Tau, so it's I think it's one of our
Oh,
aggregator software, which picks
yeah,
the
and
trendy trend. I think so. We had a rating system on best blogs out there, so we pretty much
mm-hmm.
pick some of those ones and appreciate whoever is the original author there.
Yeah, well, this one's a great one because it's talking about data science for
Good,
good
yeah.
initiatives and positive social impact and guidelines for that. So that's a really great article. And then we also have an article by Jelani Hopper, and shout out
Yes.
again, another great blogger, and the truth about artificial intelligence with today's relevance in mind. So we
Yes.
have really three great articles. And I like the first one because something that everyone is thinking about, no matter whether they're in a small startup or a huge big data corporation, the customer is really the focus
Hmm.
for everyone. And
Right.
so it's really great to see that there's a lot of attention being paid to those preferences on their satisfaction and helping them get what they need,
No, I think
what they're looking
I think
for.
I'm totally in agreement with you. And again, shout out to Bob Hayes. I think it's I'm a big huge fan of his writing, And I think so. I remember that when he wrote this article a while back, actually, so he was pretty much discussing the idea of basically connecting constituencies, and constituencies pretty much like customer is one constituency, and then partners is another, vendors is another, or something, and then basically connecting and seeing the impact of financial operations and constituencies with pretty much like transactional data and relational data. So it's, I think he's pretty much connecting the
And the
dots on.
relationships in
Yes,
between those different departments, which is like, between the employees and
it's
then
beautiful. And
the customers, and those relationships and those partnerships are, really highlighted. And sorry to interrupt it. That
no,
just,
it's I think it's,
the
yeah.
relationship focus. I'm really like all about that.
No,
So
it's beautiful, and then he pretty much picked the basically how the matrix are impacting, and I think the crux of I would still have you read that blog for our audience who have not yet checked it out, but the pretty much the correct the crux was that how loyalty of a customer or a employee or a partner, it depends on the ecosystem. So I think there are a lot of influential variables around individual worker or professional or customer. So you need to mend it, or you need to make sure that you give them a good quality experience and good quality ecosystem. So you just can't. So there is no cookie cutter solution to get it right. So you have to be authentically good to deliver a good loyalty experience. So I think good mixture of science and art in this. I think that's why I love Bob's writing. I think he's doing a great job. So go and check it out for our audience who have not yet seen. Now let's get to the next one, definitive guide to do data science. And Maria, I think as you rightly pointed out, data science for good. I think that's the must check out. I think,
hmm
in fact, most of the people that I talk to who are actually venturing into this world in data science, I said, hey, just go and attach to those initiatives which are doing good for society, because they need help, and they would need your help, and on the other side you would learn on some real world problems. I think this is the most satisfaction you can get in helping and using data and deploying data science. So I think from that perspective, this is, I think it lays out beautifully all the agencies or all the sort of programs and that are out there today that you could sort of join in. Yes, Maria.
yeah, yeah, and it has a lot of, because mostly nonprofits, this is a space for them because they're doing this work and they have the data that they're collecting and they're willing to share. So a lot of nonprofits are involved in this space here, and that allows for a lot of different levels where you are in your data science journey. Um, a lot of the hackathons, or like this article is referencing, the data dives,
Yeah.
they have a lot of time that they need to spend on data cleaning. And so you get great experience with that when you work on these kind of projects. We just did a similar one a couple months ago with SAS and DataKind, who's referenced in this article here. And we had 4 major nonprofits and had a really fun time with about over 100 folks that were volunteering on the different issues. So it was a really great experience for all different levels to learn.
Exciting.
And we even had groups that had to share census data in order to, get to some more insights and further move along. So there's plenty of work.
So to our audience, I think you have missed the spark on Maria's eye when she heard about do data science for good. I think because she is prolifically involved in lot. I think that's why you have heard a lot, and she has a lot of interesting stories. So I think that's why. And thank you, Maria, for sharing a bunch of your initiatives that you pitched. And I think you are doing a phenomenal job, by the way, and data science
Oh,
for
thank
good
you.
and for community work. I think that's needless to say. Kudos on there as well.
Yeah, well,
So
every little bit helps. So
yes, no, beautiful. World needs people like you for like to help. So definitely, much appreciate that. And yeah,
yeah.
awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
And all the work that you did too, Vishal. Everyone has their is doing their part there. So
come on, no high fives here. So Jelani Harper, again our hero of the week. So prolific writer. I don't know. This guy is a writing machine. He just writes some interesting articles, and this one is full of stuff as well. Like it's his. I think he's talking about how much AI is media hype and versus how much of it is real, and I think it's he actually lays out an interesting perspective on sort of that. It's basically a science project many in many places, but their businesses were actually anxious, but the media is jumping a lot on sort of getting the word out and creating that panic. But sometimes it's good. You need some push. So whether it's whatever, right? So from that perspective, I agree to what he has to say, and I think people should go and read his blogs. I think not even this one. As I said, he I don't know where is he. He may be sitting on trees thinking about these things all the time. Like he has this bizarre, beautiful ideas. He just keep publishing. So, Jelani, keep on doing the amazing work, and keep sharing your interesting thoughts to our community. I think that will be much appreciated.
And I also appreciate how versatile the writing is. It takes parts of different aspects and makes sure that they're really connects the dots. Like in this article, the theory versus the practice, and understanding and looking at the time constraints and the data quantities. And I think it's a very, like you said, very well written.
Yes,
It gives
yes,
us a lot of
yes.
information
So good.
that's
So
in a
now,
digestible way.
yes. So now let's get to the next news bite. And I think as I briefly said before, news bite and events are pretty much what Tao thinks the world is talking about today. So these are somewhat trendy and current. So let's dig into that. So the first one is Databricks CEO on streaming analytics, deep learning SQL data nami under streaming analytics. What do you say, Maria?
So this one, let's see, I was just pulling this up right now.
Yes. So this one, so I can start in the meantime. So Ali Ghodsi, who's a CEO of Databricks, kudos, sort of shout out to him and Databricks for doing an amazing job with Spark. I think you guys are the reason Spark is where Spark is today. So I think keep cranking, and helping sort of the community get the best of the Spark, and love. I'm a huge fan, by the way. So definitely, it's a good thing. So I think in this particular article, Ali is talking about uh, is basically he's just his perspective on the current keywords and what's happening in the streaming analytics world, what's happening in deep learning. He's talking very candidly about the SQL, why SQL is, and I think I like his perspective that even when this new keyword emerging, you should have a respect and maintain support for the old architectures as well, because many businesses are using that at their core. So definitely a good read for our audience to understand what's going on in streaming analytics and where Spark is heading and all that. So I think it's a fun read. What do you think, Maria?
Yeah, and my screen is frozen right now, but yeah, sorry. I was just trying to focus on that, fixing
Okay.
that.
No, I think it's fine.
Yes,
So in the
sorry. So
in
that
the
my
in
screen is frozen.
no, that's I think give me a thumbs up when it's come back. So now let's talk to the next one on IoT continues to impact the small business from Chicago Tribune. I think so. This is I think one of the exciting thing I'm thinking about this is okay. So yes, Maria, why don't you go with the previous one? With the, if you have anything to add.
Oh, no, I think you did a great job explaining data anatomy and a little history about that park,
Beautiful.
and thank you
Beautiful.
so much.
So now let's talk about the IoT stuff, right? So I think one thing that we are hearing a lot. So IoT and AI. I think if you combine these two keywords, you pretty much
Mm-hmm.
have automation. You pretty much have bot. Pretty much have. So I think that's the fun stuff. So we are hearing a lot about how IoT is impacting small businesses, and primarily I think this article. So it's not too many people surprised that we are seeing a lot of interesting automation solution or a lot of AI solution and a lot of IoTs, a lot of sensors, a lot of auto light shutdowns, helping my small businesses electricity bill, like lot of gadgets that are emerging that are actually helping small business cut through this many of the overheads that used to kill businesses before. So a good read again about IoT, and I think IoT and AI together, it's causing a massive disruption. I think that's it's phenomenal to see what these words are doing to the current ecosystem. Pretty much, thought Maria.
Yeah, because like for having alerts, the alerts is becoming very important to help people like keep track of everything. So I really hear about those two being used in conjunction with setting up alerts and making sure there's notifications so that uh, folks in their businesses can have a better handle on when things are happening.
Yes, I think that's exciting. And the next one, I think this is a bit spicy one, I would say. So it's big data, can analytics improve your sex life? It's, I think it
Yeah,
came
I
it
was surprised.
it's
Huh?
it's
I
it's
was
a
like,
it's
oh.
it's it's a kinky one, but I think I
But it,
like I love and I think shout out to Bernard Marr. It's he. I'm anyways a fan of his writing, so I think he prolific guy, amazing influencer, and I think must follow this guy wherever you can find him. I think again good one of the finest brains when it comes to data analytics, and I think this article is so much fun to read, by the way. So it's showing that how big data is currently in our bedrooms too, whether we like it or not. It's like it's freaking all the sensors and how, and he's talking about how even like one of the app called Ovia, it makes sure that women understand their ovulation cycle so they can, like, it just goes in all, like how data is actually changing the world. It's He's talking about how you can actually figure out the Google trend for how is the sex life for other, like from the Google searches they can predict what's the average, what's the, like what is going on in the in the current scenario. So whether we like it or not, folks, big data is pretty much everywhere, and it's in our bedrooms too. So I think, and kudos Bernard for this amazing kinky article, and I think good learning. Maria, thoughts?
well, it's a good metaphor. It's a good metaphor because like you said, there's nothing that you can really escape. Big data has a a presence everywhere. And so this is also something that needs to be talked about, isn't always talked about. And those issues is a very good metaphor, I think, for
Yes.
how we are relating to the evolution of data and our relationship to it.
Yes, and again, Bernard Marr, thank you so much for your awesome writings. Keep writing. We are always a huge fan and followers. So on to your next one. Hopefully, we'll discover some very soon. So let's go to the next one. Featured course. So baseball data wrangling with Vagrant R and Retro Sheet. Thoughts, Maria?
Yeah, I'm even though I am not too much of a sports fanatic, I am always interested in the analytics behind the sports and the different metrics that are being used because every game has its own rules, and I just find it really fascinating the different ways that we come up with models and things so that we can keep track of these games.
Oh yeah.
so so it's a
No,
really fun space.
no. I think
I always love
I
talking to those that are
I
sports guys that are into the analytics.
no. I think yes,
We
you
have
are
a
right.
couple.
You are absolutely right, and I think even um, and like it's almost like talking about cars to many people, right? So
Hmm.
car predictive analytics, Netflix movie prediction, and the other thing is game. prediction, right? That's one of the huge industry, pretty much game betting and all that, right? So this is one of the keyword that's a crowd puller, and I remember that when I think we attended. I think we did a meetup in Boston a while back, around use of like sports analytics and shout out to our friend Josh Walker. I think he's running that startup on game analytics. I think it's fascinating to see what these guys are doing. I think it's it's out of this world. What game analytics, like how much of analysis they're doing, and and I think it's so. Anyhow, not to digress, this particular course, highly rated course on Udemy. I think Top did a right thing picking this course, and it is, you don't need to have any background. So it's a very, for very starter folks. R is very self-explanatory. I think R is amazing when it comes to user experience. I think beautiful. They're doing a beautiful job. So using RetroSheet, Vagrant, and basically just using RetroSheet for gameplay and game scores and all that, and using Vagrant and R. I think that's beautiful course, and I assume it's free too. So you couldn't complain on the pricing. So I think it's it gets you
And it's
started.
short. I think it's only a couple hours, like 2 hours.
Oh yeah,
So
it's.
it's
I think
short.
it doesn't take much. So even when we did a meetup on that, within an hour it was like hands on. Like you can
Hmm.
predict, you can sort of design a score, and you can do all that fun stuff. So absolutely beautiful there. So now let's talk about featured read. So
Yeah, this is a really great book here.
this is again a very heavy book. So storytelling with data, a data visualization guide for business professionals by Cole Knaflick. So I think again, beautiful book, and highly rated book. It doesn't delude you in data like you assume, like many of the big data books. So there are like two categories: one is meant for businesses, one is meant for tech folks. I think this I would put in a business category. So I think Cole is very smartly explaining how you can design a story, how you can design a
Hmm.
story with data. So she is not talking about too much data, so which is another sort of misrepresentation, because many times we think we need to have too much data to tell a good story. So she's explaining that how with sort of with minimalistics and just with examples, that how for a particular set of data, how you can put it at best. And visualization is one of those things which tells stories. So I think from that perspective, I think it's a beautiful book. What do you think, Maria?
Yeah, she really goes beyond like just using the conventional tools and what you those resources that you need, and just like the plug and putting the pieces together into the art of telling the story and understanding the importance of context, and really recognizing and eliminate, finding the relevant information, and really communicating to get that audience attention and to help them understand how they can um, well, the book goes through helping you understand how you can leverage that communication to tell those stories and really show what's the meaning and the message of the data, so that it has meaning.
Right.
So I
No, I
think it's
think
just a really great, really compact lessons, but um, the skillful art of telling the story of data is something that is super important for everyone.
absolutely. I think absolutely. So again, good book. Must check it out. And thank you, Tao, for recommending that. I think it's I've added in my list as well. So a great book. Tips and tricks of the week. So let's talk about the tips. So data have meaning. So we live in a big data world in which everything is quantified. While the emphasis of big data
Hmm.
has been focused on distinguishing three characteristics, three V's. So great point. Data have meaning. So Maria, thinking. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, well, there's lots of there's lots of things that you can measure, right? And there's lots of metrics that you can have, but correlation doesn't mean causation, as we learn. And so, what things that we do want to measure and things that we do want to have metrics for, we want them to be relevant to solve our problems, right? And focusing on that kind of solution and what's relevant to the solution and the data that goes along with that is a big time saver, rather than just looking for what is similar to what might appear to solve the problem, and have actually going for, what could actually solve the problem. So that meaning, I think, makes a lot of difference.
Right. No, I think you're absolutely right, and even I think if we flip on a kind of give it a counter shake and see,
Mm-hmm.
so even that side is pretty exciting, that you said data is meaningless, right? So even that conversation is and to some point it goes back to the previous article on the book, right? How to tell a story. If you can't tell a story right, then pretty much it's a meaningless data, right? Because you can't use it in any decision making, or you can use it for any good. So from that perspective, for data to have meaning, you need to have the right way to gather insights from the data. And I think that's a constant. And even like in our consulting practice, many of the businesses that we work with, they're struggling with the same thing, right? So they are trying to figure out the meaning from the data, and almost
Mm-hmm.
everyone know that it has something in it, but what's that something is, that's where the gold is, right? So that's for people to figure out what's going on. So
Yeah, I
it's
really
a
like that you said that, because that's the human part, right? We're supposed
yes,
to figure out the meaning and then use the data to support
right,
or for the decision making, right? So that's kind of like a beautiful marriage there between, our capabilities and the machine's capabilities.
right. I think that's fascinating to me, and that's why, although so this thing, it's a trick or tip, but I think it still doesn't give much. So I give that, sure, I understand it has meaning, or maybe not, but it doesn't tell me how to extract that. But I think that's why sometimes even I think that maybe you should know what you want to find, so then you can find the data, right? Then I think that's
Right.
another thing that um, um,
So,
it's interesting. I think it
so
so
it could just
actually,
support, right?
we'll go on the quote of the week very soon. That has, like, that's what I'm sort of pointing at, that
Directly related.
that's directly related to the context here, that you can extract whatever you want to extract from data. So I think I don't know, that's maybe biases at play, but that's exciting. So data have meaning. So yes, let's take that for and then let's go to the next part. um, Provide
Our
examples
question.
of machine to machine communication. What do you think, Maria?
Oh, yes, this is like kind of what I was thinking about with the IoT and this data science, what we talked about earlier with the alerts and using the
Right.
machine learning to have the conversation kind of with the tools that we have available. And so this is an example of one of those, where a heart patient wears a monitor that gathers the data and sends alerts.
Right. And I think, and the other example they are saying is about vending machine telling, hey, I'm out of soda, get me some soda, or whatever the thing is, right? That's one of the
Hmm.
example. And I think one example that I think even predates all this, it's anti-lock brake system, as simple as that,
Hmm.
right? So that
Right.
dude, it just talked to the, hey, I it just kept on monitoring. It just keep on monitoring how the tire speed is, and based on that, applying that brakes or whatever, right? So that's some of the examples of machine to machine communication, in which sort of that it's yeah, it's fascinating thing, by the way. It's like the world has, when I first heard about ABS, I was thinking, wow, this is the future. But now, like, this
Hmm.
is like, we don't even consider those things. It's beautiful, like how where we have been after that
Yeah,
many years is
they're just
fascinating.
part of normal now, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's get to the right side. So we have right side of the newsletter. So we talk about the video of the week. Maria, have you seen this video by the way?
Yeah, this is a great video. The history and the use of R is a great video by Joseph Kambarowski. I think I messed up his name, but um, Joseph Kambarowski.
So
This
Joe Komburakis. Sorry, Joe, for butchering
yeah,
your
but
name
great shout outs
over the
because this
podcast.
is
But yes,
a
shout out to
great
you. Yes.
such a great thing. He goes through the history. I mean, he talks about all of the other languages that end up, getting formulated together to make R. He talks about how it's used, what's used for. He really gives you an overview of what kind of problems it can solve, when you want to use it, and what the benefits are. So if you are looking for a comprehensive, he also travels around the world teaching this, so it's very concise and very to the point and direct. And if you want that information of what packages and what things are used, what tools and what can be solved through using these tools, then this is a great 50 minutes that um, will really get you a good understanding of what you can do with R.
I agree. I think he's and again shout out to him. He's doing a great job. I think he has a good grasp on our on what's happening, and I think even I agree with you. So the very fact that he's discussing about the history, so it brings you into the why R is relevant. It brings you into why we are
Mm-hmm.
talking what we are talking. So I think from that perspective, it's fascinating to see what he is doing, and probably I would love to have him back again on one of the meetups, talk about something else. And he have been again very good friend to us, and great guy, good grasp on what's going on. So definitely kudos, Joe. And by the way, again, sorry for butchering your name on live on podcast. So I'll send you a personal apology later really soon. So thank you so
You
much.
just need to come back more often. That's all.
He'll probably not come anymore now. So he said, "I'm done with you guys. You just
No, no,
that's
no.
what you guys do on public live shows." So beautiful, by the way. So quote of the week: "Torture the data and it will confess to anything." That's
What a great quote.
what a freaking great quote. So I agree. Yes. So it's interesting. So Maria, what do you think? What do you think about this?
It's like hilarious because it's so true. Because you can get anything you want. I mean, you can make the data say
Right.
anything you want. So,
So it's I think it's so ridiculous. I think it's I agree. I think the only job it does is like it adds humor because like it all it's talking about is biases, right? So it's saying your data is biased or
yeah.
whatever, right? It's yes. I think it's and I think the interesting thing is anything, right? So that's the scary part that you can pretty much whatever you want to convince, you can just take data and mold it and just make it whatever you want to say, the data will say. And that has been the biggest sort of problem in many of the analysis, right? So in fact, I think I remember one of the main strategists at Salesforce. I think he said that at one point, I think it's very difficult to keep the biases away when you're analyzing, but people come with their own biases, right? So that's so he said that we have to just do a better job and sort of nullifying them or sort of suppressing them. But this it talks about that bias pretty. I don't think that's why even when we talk about data have meaning a few minutes back, that's the thing, right? So the
Hmm.
meaning, is that the meaning you want, or is that the real meaning that you? I think that's the fun side, like how you can keep it bias free. And the cool thing is, there are ways to keep it bias free. So I think that's I think there was a book, thinking fast and slow. I think that covers talks about these biases a bit, how you can sort of work around it. So I think definitely good quote, scary quote, funny quote. Tao, good pick, good job. Now let's move to the next one. Podcast of the week. Future of Data with Dr. Nipa Basu from Dun and Bradstreet. Shout out to Nipa and Dun and Bradstreet. You guys are awesome. You guys are doing a great job. Maria,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah, this was great to listen to. Uh, yeah, a big shout out to uh, Dun and Bradstreet and to Dr. Basu. She had a really great way of communicating the uh, the different reasons why, because we talked about customer focus earlier, and she had a great way of showing the importance of customer focus within the analytics, and the different reasons for that, and how that can turn around and benefit where it might be counterintuitive. And so I really enjoyed her perspective. And she's a great example for, she's had a long history with analytics and working with different teams and different skill people on those teams. And so I think that she's someone that you definitely want to look more into if you're interested in analytics and the customer relationship as well.
Right. No, I think and kudos. I think I couldn't agree more, Maria. So I love her. I think I love the way she sort of she has an amazing experience, as you rightly pointed out. I think beautiful journey, and I love the one second. Uh, Okay, and I love the way she covered and she captured sort of the insights on. She discussed about the future of credit scoring and what DNB and doing and what is her role in that. Very candid about how to form a data science team, what data science team really means, and Dun& Bradstreet is one of those companies who are playing in data. So they are one of the early adopters of data science. They are one of the early adopters of this idea of data as a competitive edge. So, and she was like very candid about like sharing her thoughts, sharing sort of and sort of discussing with us what a good team player is, what who you should hire, when you should hire. So must check out this podcast. I think Dr. Basu, you're amazing. And Dun& Bradstreet, kudos guys, you guys are amazing. You're doing a good job, and definitely uh, love to catch up with you guys sometime again and discuss your journey and talk about some of the fun stuff you guys are up to. So that's beautiful. What do you think,
Yeah,
Maria?
I really also liked how she talked about probability with when you said the credit scoring and so forth, and all of the probabilities that are really taken into consideration with the predictive analytics at the same time. So
Yeah, I think that's fascinating. So now let's go to the fact of the week.
fact,
Oh man, this is AT&T. So I like the moment you hear AT&T, it itself means big data. I think no matter whatever you say after that, it doesn't really matter. But sure, we can read. The largest AT&T database boasts titles including largest volume of data, 312 terabyte of
wow,
one unique database, and the second
right,
largest number of rows in 1.9 trillion, which comprise
huh?
AT&T's extensive calling records. Wow,
Yeah, because
1.9.
they're one of the original phone companies,
Yeah, this is like, yeah, it's
you know.
wow. That's a scale.
So
I think I would
they,
love to have at some point people from AT&T talking about their data science. I think that will be. They are the. I think they either these guys, Verizon, Bell, whoever. Like these guys are the original sort of data science players and sort of one of the early adopters. So
yeah,
that I think that concludes our weekly podcast. Now we're off to our shameless plug. So if you want to either close your ears, this is the time to. But if you want to appreciate what we do, this is the time to listen and share and probably participate. So this newsletter, we are putting a free job post code for any recruiter out there who want to post a job on our platform. So our platform has 5,000 unique viewers or something and growing. So sure, your job will get a lot of attention. You'll get a lot of response. from our previous experiences. So we are giving you a taste of what it looks like to use our platform for job posting. Do that. X by Tau, work with us. If you're a candidate looking for a job, or if you are a company looking for amazing candidates, or if you have a task that you want, we would engage our the best on working on your problems and solving those. And then host your office club. So again, I think I couldn't say it more. Hold a community event within your company, invite people, create this culture of data analytics, create a culture of discussion around data analytics. We need to take it to the next level. The more we talk about it, the more we take it there. So do we appreciate everyone who's doing that already? If you're not, please do it. Maria, what do you say?
Yeah, well, thanks to all the members who are participating in those conversations, because there are some amazing insights that get thrown back and forth and brainstorm ideas by just these coincidental meetings of people who are interested in the same things and have a different perspective because they might be coming from different disciplines. So it's really important to have that variety of conversation. So it's great to be participating in one of the events. So if you've already came to one, kudos to you. Shout out for getting involved, and you work somewhere. So bring all those people.
Yes, I think so. Beautiful. Again, thank you so much. For checking our podcast. I hope you like what we are doing. If you like what we are doing, spread the word. If you share it, like it, subscribe it, do whatever. Read it to your 5-year-old, 3-year-old, 2-year-old. Do whatever you can to get us to as many people as possible. Because if we work with more people, we'll have more people that work on data science. So thank you so much once again. Hope to see you a week after next for our next version of newsletter podcast, Future of Data podcast. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
I thought I was sick of home, but actually I was homesick. Never really knew that I would have to grow up so quick. I'm so uncomfortable, don't know anybody here. Just a couple dudes that I met once, that's it. And I go into the booth feeling nervous. Got butterflies in my stomach like I'm so worthless. Is the mic on? I don't know how to work this. Inside I'm breaking down, I hope I'm not up on a